Hey, we are live. It is Wednesday, March the 10th, 2021, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So it's the lunchtime letdown on the East Coast and the boycotting breakfast on the West Coast. We've got absolute mayhem in here. Nice. Terry was here and then he left. So we'll call out Terry when he returns.
Okay, I've got something to say to Terry. Because he always likes saying crap.
I think Terry's back. We have two people watching now, so go ahead. Yeah. Rant on Terry.
Terry, are you back? Because the thing is, him. I don't know what way to point. The other guy, that's it. That guy over there. Him and I both do not play hockey in Montreal and talk NASCAR. We are just Canadians that talk about NASCAR.
Yeah. Canadians with an A, not an E.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right. We are not part of Les Habitants. So before we get started, a sad note. I grew up knowing this guy. Honestly, Doug, I don't think I've seen the guy in the better part of 20 years. Let's say 15 years. And honestly, I thought, unfortunately, he had passed away back then because he wasn't looking too well. But apparently, Mr. Cliff Stillman of Stillman Motors, off top of my head, I know he had a variety of local businesses over the years. Local gentleman, car guy. Man, he had some nice stuff, like top dollar car show quality stuff. Never cheap, though. Always top dollar. But Cliff Stillman, friend of the family, good friend of my dad's, passed away on Saturday, March the 6th. Oh, Jesus, I forgot to put the thing up.
Yep, put that thing up.
There we go. This is Cliff here on the, I believe it's Cliff in the foreground. I can't remember the gentleman in the background. And what we're looking here is one of the turns, I'm going to say likely, I think it's turn 2 of Riverview Speedway. Riverview Speedway. This is the cool thing, Doug. This is a throwback to our parents' generation. You know, you've been to Trenton enough times. You know, we have the 401 exit that's right by the river there. And we have those gas stations and stuff right around the corner that turns from the river in towards my old place. Cliff had a gas station / car dealership right along there. That's where Stillman Motors was. But if you headed north up that road, you may recall just north of the highway, there was the old Pines Motel where our family had a restaurant briefly. Right past that, there was a road, okay? You go down that road, not an eighth of a mile, that's where Cliff used to live. And for whatever reason, Cliff decided to carve a quarter-mile dirt track in his backyard and put up some stands and lights. And that Riverview Speedway, great name, was in operation from 1968 to 1971. They would run, I believe, on Sundays because Brighton Speedway, our other local track, ran on Saturdays. Ironically enough, this was the only dirt track in the area at the time because Brighton Speedway, as Doug knows, started out as an asphalt track. Actually, it started as dirt, then they paved it. But they paved it right around 68. And then Cliff, because all the dirt guys are like, we want to run on dirt. So Cliff built here, Riverview Speedway. And we can kind of see in the photo here, you know, he had the Armco up, so it wasn't just carved out in the field. And I don't know, like some of those, it looks like trees out back, but I'd almost say those are like hydro poles. Maybe they're where they're putting in lights and stuff.
It looks possible with that, yeah.
Yeah, so big loss to the local car community. Cliff Stillman, rest in peace, my friend. He did the second exhaust on my Camaro after I did the new motor and I had more power and he needed more performance exhaust. Cliff's like, oh, bring her in. We'll put something together, you know. And done. No time. So yes, shout out to Cliff Stillman. So there we are on that. Doug has another piece of info. Carrying over before we get into this week's coverage.
Yeah.
Previous
the tie into last week. Because as is, I usually find stuff after we go on air, and then after, or people will announce stuff after we get off air. But yes, a tweet that really caught my eye. First, it was because Denny Hamlin actually replied to it,
Okay.
and then people, and well, we'll get the tweet up, and then I'll kind of
Yeah.
put what
Yeah,
Denny
it looked
kind of
like I
said
just
to
had
it.
to close and reopen the window here. So
Yep.
bear with me, folks. There.
We're gonna go through a couple here. That it's one from someone we don't normally hear this sort of thing from, which kind of surprised me and made it good. So Mike Joy sends out. I think that's the second one.
I didn't have a first one. You only sent me one.
I sent you two. Anyway, so okay, so
Sure.
I will go back to the other one.
Oh, you did send me two.
I did send you two.
I only got the first one.
So anyway, I'll say that the first tweet actually said, "Our sport has always had funded drivers, but it's high time a few of those privileged kids, powered by daddy's pile of cash, realize this whole sport doesn't exist just to make their dreams come true. Take some time to learn from those who work their way to the top." So that tweet came out. I seen the reply from Denny Hamlin to that tweet,
Right.
and Denny was like, exactly kind of thing, right? And
Well,
people then
Denny
started going
came
after.
from very.
Well,
I don't want to say modest. Well, pretty modest. Like Denny largely funded his early racing career himself out of pocket, and I think
and that's the thing.
when he had the chance
the
to
thing.
move up, his parents took out an extra mortgage on their house to fund.
That's the thing. People start going at Denny for being one of those types of drivers, and it's like, really? Have you not heard of how like my family almost lost everything for him to be able to race, right?
Right.
So then after people started calling other people out and doing everything, and saying how he was wrong with all this stuff and how Noah, because I think this is because the tweet right before the last one, he was talking with David Starr and how hard that he's worked and people like Carl Long have worked to get their spot, and then Noah just crap all over them.
Yep.
Right. He then put this one out with Davey Allison. When Davey told Bobby that he wanted to race, Bobby's like, "Okay, you're gonna figure stuff out here, and you're gonna start at the bottom, work your way up, so that when you're out there wrecking a car, someone else has to deal with that."
Right. And I want to just put a tag on. We were talking a bit about it off air.
Yeah.
Like Doug had said, Davey started sweeping floors. Then he became a parts washer. Then he was learning some of the, maintenance. We'll call it maintenance week to week on the car.
Like I said,
counting events, rehanging bodies, what have you, mechanical inspections. And then Bobby eventually said, okay, well, if you want, similar to Richard Petty, when Kyle wanted to get in a race, he says, go out back. There's an old chassis out there.
Go back one step beyond that. Go back to Lee Petty with Richard.
Same deal. Go out back, grab a car. So Davey pulled in this chassis, so bare bones, roll cage on your chassis, folks. And then he hung, I want to say, because it was around 81, 82, he hung a Nova body on the car. And at that time, in NASCAR, you didn't have to run a specific body. As long as it was a stock body, which is, your body panels. But basically, if GM or Ford, because Chrysler wasn't in it. So if GM or Ford had a car on the lot available for sale, depending on the wheelbase, if it was 112-inch wheelbase, that would be a Cup car. If it was 110-inch, that would be your Busch Series or your Grand National at the time. So we had this, Sportsman, Grand National, same thing, Sportsman car. Davey hung a Nova body on it, and Bobby's like, where'd you get this Nova body? And he said, well, let's, buddy there that you talked to at Buick or whatever, I called him up because, he's a friend of the family, blah, 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 because these guys, they pop in at the shop, and he referred him over to Chevy because Chevy's the biggest of the four at the time, because all four at that time were running a NASCAR: Chevy, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and Buick. And Chevy said, well, we'd like to get the Nova out there. And so they built this slick Nova car. Davey started running it around because they qualified, is more or less an asphalt late model at that time. So late model races, this and that. And then Bobby took the car. He's like, that thing's fast. I'm going to run it. And when Bobby did his barnstorming, and they kind of shared that car in a way for a little bit. And that's how Davey got into racing. Yeah, Davey wasn't sent to racing school. He wasn't farmed out to a veteran team like, let's say, like you're going to start in ARCA. Well, here, go to Venturini Motorsports, an established ARCA program, and say, here's a wad of cash, teach my kid how to drive. We didn't get that.
No.
You know, the last we heard, and similar, and I was joking off air, I think Dale Earnhardt Sr. took a page out of Bobby Ellison's book because he did the same thing. With Junior said, I want to race. He's like, well, you're changing oil in my car dealership. And then if you want a car, you and your brother and sister can go out and grab an old car and, you know, and he would not show them a thing on how to do that.
No. So, and it's, and yeah, and it's just, I think that talk like that may have happened because we talked about last week that at the time that we had known, Junior still hadn't had to talk with Noah yet.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but I'm guessing that talk happened.
Yeah.
Some point late last week when that phone was finally answered, because you didn't hear a peep out of somebody all weekend.
Nope. And also I noticed he did get a run on somebody during the race. And guess what? He didn't bump him out of the way.
No.
He backed off. Unlike, well, we'll get to it in this week's Xfinity race when we get to the race coverage. So, yeah. So that's the story on that. And Junior, you can always tell the guys that work their way up because they're the fans of the back markers, the field fillers, the, you know, those independents or whatever, you know, the guys I have a soft spot for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's get to some race coverage. We're almost a quarter of the way through the show here. So we were in Las Vegas last week. Well, the NASCAR series was, we watched. It was easier commute. We started out Friday night with the trucks. We had a full field. We had Buddy there, Chief Bottle Washer over at Camping World. He told the Bass Pro Shops guys and Monster Energy guys to hold his beer because he had 10 of the 40 trucks in the field were Camping World trucks.
Yes. And
thank the baby Jesus that they did some reverse paint schemes and different shades so they weren't all identical out there. So yeah, that was interesting. And you know, the bounties, we'll call them, were out there. You know, the better you finish, the more likely you're going to get a big paycheck. And lo and behold, Camping World truck did not win the race.
No.
He had a 1 in 4 chance, but unfortunately, he didn't sponsor any of the KBM trucks.
Yeah, I went to rewatch the ending there this morning, and I found out that I was always afraid that I was going to miss a recording the race.
Right.
And I found out that I no longer have to worry about that because I bet you about them all the time. Rogers, with the new thing that they have out, the Rogers Ignite, you can go back. It saves everything for you, no matter what. You just have to search it. And I can get it because I ended up watching the end of the Daytona race. And I really didn't realize it. I don't know how I didn't realize it, but I was like, I don't remember Ben Rhodes winning this race and a whole bunch of wrecks at the end. So, yeah. So
Nice. Yeah. So I would say, I don't know, was he dominant in the race? John Hunter Nemechek? They talked about him the whole race.
He was strong.
You know, unfortunately, I watched the race late Friday night. So I don't really recall, other than a few of the usual suspects, right? Like Thor Sports were up front at the start. Kyle Busch was in the race.
Friesen was having a good run as well, too. If I remember correctly.
Absolute Mayhem asked, would you want Dale Earnhardt trying to teach you how to race? Damn straight. He was good on every form of track. So, sure. If he's willing to teach you. That's the key. Yeah. What else? Yeah. Long story short, we had some controversy. Towards the end of the race, Kyle Busch cut a tire. I I think he was one of those guys. He cut it right on the front stretch, like similar to Austin Cindric the next day. It was kind of thing. So as he was going through the corner on the apron, I'm going to say he goosed the throttle.
I don't know why my arm just got itchy when you started talking about that.
I have no idea. See, I meant more like his personality than skill. Yes, still yes. He goosed the throttle.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get 3/4 of the way to the turn and then spin. You spin in the beginning of the corner when there's not enough traction on that flat rear tire. But nope. Kyle goosed it, spun out, brought the caution out. Man, some people are wearing those foil hats entirely too tight because there's the conspiracy theorists out there that said that Kyle Busch spun on purpose to help John Hunter, one of his drivers, win the race. Really? Because Kyle was coming after him.
If we had a website, we could sell him.
Beating John Hunter on lap times. John Hunter had a good 5-second lead out front. So how does throwing the caution to bunch up the field help the driver? It doesn't. It helped Kyle Busch put a fresh set of tires on so he could challenge for the win, which he kind of did. He was kind of getting back there, but he ran out of time. It was one of those, if there was 10 more laps in the race, he would have won. So then I got to see John Hunter Nemechek in victory lane. And I don't know where they're cloning these drivers, Doug, but they're all 5'5", still got some baby fat in the face, short blonde hair. They all look this, him, Gibbs, Burton, bunch of other, you know what I mean? They all look the same. Like, I think they're cloning people. Plus, John Hunter looks nothing like his dad.
Not at all.
Not a clue. Like, he obviously took completely after his mother. He's a Nemechek in name only, as far as I'm concerned. Because I remember, let's be honest, back in the Army days when Joe was driving the Army car, we'd see John Hunter in the little mini uniform. And Joe's mother was also always, up on the pit box. Remember, she used to score. A lot of drivers had their wives doing scoring, but his mom was and she looks like, Joe looks like his mom. Dark hair, not John Hunter. But, John Hunter, it's nice to see when someone chirps a bit. I'm going to call it chirping, but then backs up the chirping. John Hunter said, he moved down from Cup because he wanted to be with a competitive ride and go out and win races. That's what he's doing. I can't fault the guy for that.
Well, no, it's like you said, it'd been a while since he won a race, and he wanted to get that back again. And I think that's what he's doing.
And because NASCAR is shoving it down our throats, I will give the Haley Deegan update. She ran between 20th and 30th the entire race. Not a word mentioned about her after the pre-race because they always got to talk about her during the pre-race. Oh, she has a shot. A shot at what? That's what I'd like to know because she ran 25th. And then the one time she was on track, that was part of the big wreck. She got caught up in it. So I'm going to say if she's back in that one truck next year, Doug, showing some favoritism because we know, driver of the 4 truck last year, Canadian boy, was that Lessard?
Yep.
He won in it and still lost his ride. So I'm curious. I'm really curious,
Yep.
And you can say, it's part of NASCAR's drive for diversity. Well, Lessard's Canadian. He's a foreigner.
Yep.
That should be diverse.
Yep.
So, any comments on the truck race?
Not overly. No, not.
All 3 races, they were all decent. Like, I can't, but forgettable in many ways.
It's almost like the commentary, and we'll get to that in the Xfinity race, is the best part about the races here so far this year. Other than that, we've got, other than Ben Rhodes, I guess, we've had all different winners. Yeah.
Yep. That's true. We could see. I've been claiming the last few weeks, the Cup Series might be the first year where a win doesn't guarantee a playoff spot.
I don't think
that could be in all 3 series this year.
Yep.
Potentially. So that's something to look at. So going into Saturday afternoon, the Xfinity cars were out on track. I don't remember who was on the pole. Doesn't matter. Pole winner didn't win.
No.
I don't think. I don't know.
All
I know is one of the highlights early on was apparently, according to one organization, the blatant blocker who blocks more than anybody, being Harrison Burton, got blatantly taken out by Austin Cindric, who ran him, right on the rear quarter down the front stretch, which is, a bit of a turn and banking, and he took him out. And we got the dynamic duo, a former Penske driver and a current Penske driver. I'm really surprised Kurt hasn't brought that up yet. He could very well say, I know how things work over there.
Well, we'll get to that, because there was that one, and I did mention it. There was that one little
right. And I will say I like the combination of Joey Logano and Kurt Busch in the booth. How they say 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it wasn't bad. And the reason I like it so much, and I mentioned it to you off air, was I'm not a Kurt Busch fan per se, although apparently my Uncle Lang is friends with Kurt Busch. Sure. What was I going to go with that? Oh, yeah. He keeps it real. He keeps it honest. He's like Clint Boyer.
He does. Yeah.
He keeping it real. And so I really hope Kurt gets a job at FS1.
Well, it's like I said, all I can say now, it's that during the race they did show the cars going through tech, and Joey Logano made the comment saying, look how good looking that car is going through tech, because it was the 22 car,
right?
And he said, sometimes there's teams have trouble going through tech, and they have to go through 2 or 3 times, right? And they're there a bit longer. And Kurt, without hesitation, said, well, if you notice, it's only the 2 Penske cars that are left going through tech, right?
Again.
And Joey was like, I got no comeback.
That's right.
And he even said, I can't say anything about that.
Something else I noticed in the race, only 4 fields, only 3 Fords in the field. There we go. Spit it out. Unless Sieg has a teammate that I didn't notice, because it was Ryan Sieg, Cindric, and whoever's driving the 98 now.
Riley Herbst.
Riley Herbst. There we are. So, yeah. And Riley had some problems. So, Cindric blatantly takes out Burton. Joey Logano's like, well, I don't really see much wrong with that. He might have got into him a bit. I was like, well, of course, Joey. He's driving like you. You don't see any fault in that.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Kurt's like, no, he took him out.
Yep.
He took him out, flat out. So, another good run by the colleague guys. Yeah, I'm digging that. And you know what? I like how they talk with the president of racing there. The chief bottle washer. It sounds like, colleagues got the money, but he hired, I want to say his name was Tim Rice.
Chris Rice.
I was close. He kind of runs the operation. This is their 3rd year in operation, I think. 3rd or 4th year. So. Something like that. And, they're doing it. They're doing it right. He likes it when the Fox booth talks down to it, because they generally win after he does that.
Well, he even invited Kurt down to victory lane.
Yep.
Mid-race.
Yep. And so we ended up, I'm trying to think, was there somebody running down the leader at the end? Another one of those situations? Maybe. But tires weren't a huge... well, they were and they weren't. It was weird, because one race, they're like, oh, tires aren't much of a factor in the truck race. But then we were seeing like a 2.5-3 second fall off on the Xfinity and Cup cars. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's up with that. But Mr. I'm going to retire. And then he's like, you know what? I'll run part-time here and there. And then he had fun, because he's in and it's amazing how you rejuvenate your attitude in life when you're in a competitive ride. Well, yeah. Come on. Why don't you run full time?
We'll get into that more in a little bit as well, too.
Right. Why don't you run full time? So he decided to, and he's going to run for the title this year, and AJ Allmendinger wins the race.
his second oval race win.
Yes, his second oval race. And, great on him, because as far as I'm concerned, it's got to take a little bit of, I don't want to say it's humiliating or anything, but, to take that step back and run a lower series on the quote unquote downside of your career.
Well, I think when talking about that fun, I think winning that race last year on the oval at Atlanta,
right,
brought that fun back for him, because he's always been just that. He's the road course guy. He can't do a thing on the ovals, and then he goes, wins at Atlanta, and he's like, you know what,
yeah.
I can do this.
Yeah, well, and he never, because for a long time he got the respect twice a year on the 2 road courses, and then and let's be honest, Allmendinger's always been competitive on the super speedways.
Yeah,
for the most, he doesn't get the results because he gets caught up in a lot of stuff. Partially his fault over the years, partially not, because he was on the same track as Jimmy Johnson, or Ricky Stenhouse. But you never get the respect that, it's like people get zero respect if they're a super speedway specialist. You even want to, that's the only way you get respect. But if you're competitive anywhere else and happen to be, like the front row guys, those cars have been competitive for years on super speedways. And it's, okay, and they're starting to, don't count them out. At least they're finally getting that now. The don't count them out. Like, how many races does that team have to win on super speedways before they get an ounce of respect?
To even go the other route, look at Truex.
Right.
He had all those wins on a 1.5 miles. He can't finish a race on a super speedway, even though he had that, that losing by a bumper to Denny at the 500.
Right.
And then, was it last year before, finally winning at Martinsville, a short track, because he could never win a short track either. He could just, he was only good at 1.5 miles, and that was it.
Right. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We got 5 people watching, Doug.
Wow.
That's not bad for the Lunchtime Letdown. That's awesome. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. If you're new, please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions for either of us, ask away.
Anything you want to say, tell us either that we're idiots or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Feel free.
Wouldn't be the first, won't be the last, definitely. Excuse me.
No.
So yeah, Dinger wins. So let's get into Sunday. Sunday. Did they have a full field on Sunday? I don't think they did. Cup cars, I think it was only 38 again.
We were talking about that with the pit selections.
Right.
After that Harvick was on the pole.
Yeah.
And he didn't take the number 1 pit stall.
Right.
Byron was on the pole. The pole sitter did not take the number 1 pit stall. And I remember seeing that there and making that comment to you.
Thank you for the distraction. Installing new antivirus tools on 200 servers. I need a distraction. Well, there we go, Mayhem. There we go. Fair enough. Yeah, so again, it's funny. I think you, me, and my dad all had the same reaction during the Cup race. Good race. We all fell asleep during the race. Hey, Keith. What do we have coming up? What to look for? The biggest thing on the horizon right now is in 3 weeks, the Bristol Dirt Races.
Yes.
It's in the conversation every week during the races. There's always a reference to it. Because it's going to be a big deal. It's the first time since 1970 the Cup Series has run on dirt. So it's a big deal. But going into the Cup race weekend, I'm trying to think. Wasn't much in the way. Wasn't any drama or anything.
No, nothing. It's just
and like I say, we all fell asleep, and I nodded off with about 50 to go, and I was listening to it, and it was great racing. I was reading comments saying, "Oh, it was a boring race." Really? Because we had more lead changes this year in the first 2 stages than we did in the whole race last year.
Yeah, and the nice thing to see was that Larson was back on a big stage.
Yeah,
he was showing, and that's something that we were expecting to see right from the start. We didn't, and I think now that he has that win and showed what he can do, I think there's a little bit of pressure on the Golden Boy now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because Honestly, just from optics, not based off finishes, points, or anything, the 48 car seems to be the most competitive week to, like, he's in the top 10 at some point every week. Not dominating, but just that he's there, he's in the mix, and I think the 48, if for whatever reason we get a bunch of people winning multiple times and points do become a factor, it's early, but that 48 is the one that's going to point his way in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He gets in there, grab a couple stage points here, there, and it's like one of those kill the field with 8th place finishes, right? You finish 8th place every week, damn.
Mm-hmm.
It adds up. So that, and we're seeing pretty competitive across the board. We had a variety of cars running up front throughout the day. And it's weird, as temperatures change, sun changes, this and that. We didn't, unfortunately, because we had the regular calling crew up there, we didn't get the constant weather reports we did in the truck and Xfinity races. Because Kurt Busch, being a local boy, man, he was dropping knowledge on that track.
Exactly, yeah.
Like Joey's like, I don't understand why they run low in 1 and 2 and high in 3 and 4. And he's like, because the sun bakes turn 3 so much and you got the tailwind, you can't run low into 3. You'll just drift up regardless. And then Joey's like, oh yeah, I guess you kind of do. With his grinny stupidness. Here's your sign, Joey.
Yep.
So, so Kyle Larson won the race, HendrickCars.com. And it seemed the biggest headline post-race was the fact Bubba Wallace came into victory lane, which really, Kyle really liked that. I don't know how close they are in friendship, and stuff like that, because you don't hear the two of them talking.
It seems like there was a lot of drivers went into victory lane.
Yeah. But for some reason, Bubba got the word about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that. Don't know. Don't care.
But then post-race, a lot of lug nut penalties again. A lot of lug nut,
which is stupid. That's got to be the stupidest penalty. I didn't do it last week. We'll get into that. NasCar sanctioning body rant.
We'll get into that because there was 6 lug nut penalties in the Cup race, being Cole Custer, Harvick, Buescher, Kyle Busch, Truex, and Di Benedetto getting the lug nut violations.
Right.
Biggest one going to Cole Custer's crew chief, Kirk Shiplett, getting the 1 race suspension for multiple violations. Yeah. I'm thinking, seeing Truex on there, I think James Small's next on the list.
So how does that work? You get 1 loose lug, you get a warning, but you're on probation. And if you get another one, then you get suspended. But if you have 2 lug nuts loose, you get suspended.
Because they had 2 lug nuts loose. They got
suspended. Yeah. If you have multiple, you're suspended.
So looking at that post on Facebook, and that's where I say the idiots all come out most of the time.
Sure.
You get all the ones that are commenting how, this is the stupidest penalty in NASCAR. They should just let them, if they want to run with less, just let them run with less. They're only going to be hurting themselves.
Exactly.
Well, okay, if that tire comes off, they could be hurting more than themselves.
That's true too.
Right? Because there could be a car on the outside, car on the inside. Go back to 2008 in Charlotte Motor Speedway. I have the picture to prove it. Tire comes off AJ Allmendinger's car, takes out someone's tent trailer on the infield. Right? There's,
there is that. Let's be honest. This rule is going to be mute next year anyways.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because if all they're doing is calling you out for a single lug nut, like I say, there was no fine listed, no suspension listed, just you're caught, but they don't tell you what the penalty is. So I don't know. Is it like soccer? Like you get a red card, you're thrown out. You get a yellow card, it's just a warning. But if you get a second yellow card within a certain time frame, I think it's like 3 games, then it counts as, so, if you have 1 loose lug 2 weeks in a row, are you then suspended? I don't know how it works exactly, nor do I care, because it's going to be mute next year because we're going to have a single lug nut. And if a single lug nut's loose, you're fucked.
you say it's going to be a moot point, but I'm thinking all these people that are complaining about the penalty are going to be complaining about the one lug nut next year because they're already saying in that same post about oh well, it's taken away from racing with only having one lug nut. They're going against tradition.
Okay, in that case, we should have half the vehicles should be half made out of plastic.
Yeah, and the other thing is, people, I've said it before, if the article is about Kirk Shiplett being suspended for lug nuts, why are you complaining about Bubba Wallace in the comments?
Right.
If he's not in any of the topic, like, stop letting him live in your head.
Exactly.
And if you're done with NASCAR, don't tell me about it, because you should have been done with NASCAR like a year ago.
Yeah.
You're
exactly.
late to that
and
party.
It's not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure.
And you don't have to say it every week. Because there's been a couple of people that have said it every week. And it's like, if you stopped watching NASCAR a year ago, how the hell do you know what happened last week?
Exactly.
Rant's over.
And and then for those who say single lug, don't like it, it's not a stock car, it's supposed to have 5 lugs. None of these cars are rear-wheel drive on the street. They're all front-wheel drive. None of them have a V8. None of them have a 4-speed manual. So where folks, they run a track bar rear suspension that hasn't been used since the 60s on a production vehicle. So where do you want to draw the line, haters? Where do you want to draw the line? I gave up on that argument at the end of the 80s, because in the 80s, do I have an 80s car handy? No, those are 70s. Oh, there we are. All right. Here's your Tech 101, folks. We got a 1981, 82, I don't know, one or the other, Buick. Stock parts on this car. Factory stock parts. Trunk lid, stock. Roof, stock. Hood, stock. Floor pan, stock. Nose, kinda, but not. Similar materials made, but you didn't have all the inserts for the headlights and stuff like that. Those were generally just gone over with stainless and rivets, as you you can't see. There we go. There you go. Pop rivets. They got rid of the plastic grill, put in metal grill, because you can't bump draft once and then it shatters on the track. Other than that, a lot of stock parts. The sides, we'll call it, the fenders, rear quarters, all fabricated, single piece, so you don't have the seams and stuff like that. But the gauge of metal used was similar to stock body metal as well. So it was still very much a stock car in many ways. This car on the right, it never came with a V8, had a V6 in it, but a V8 conversion is not hard in these cars. We used to do them in high school. So by the time I got into racing in the early 90s, we basically used the 1982 Winston Cup rulebook, because our first stock car was a 75 Chevelle. Well, this isn't a 75 Chevelle. This is actually an Oldsmobile, but basically the same car. So there we are. There's your Tech 101. I've seen, we've seen the bones of a cup car, a modern cup car, up close and personal. I was shocked at the amount of exotic materials used in a modern cup car, being like carbon fiber and stuff. I don't like it. I would like to see them go with a composite body, like in the Xfinity.
I stayed up in the stands that one time, but you actually almost did see that cup car on our campsite the one year.
Yes.
Because somebody made a wrong turn.
Yes.
But yeah. That's kind of my thing about it. It's you got to be looking forward all the time.
Yeah,
But
exactly. You want to talk about the SRX series?
in a minute. There's still another thing. If people may have seen it on YouTube, or some of the other stuff, there was a driver who put out a video of his podcast that he has on YouTube
Right.
with the
That's a
title
fellow YouTuber.
fellow YouTuber, with the title "I Quit."
Yeah, clickbait.
So yeah, so it's a 15-minute video of him just talking. Ty Dillon.
Yep.
So he put that video out. I
Can we call
listened
Ty
to it.
Dillon friend of the channel?
We could, because you talked to him for a while.
Yeah, like had an actual conversation with him. So,
Yep.
and we're talking Canadian motorsports in essence, because he had just run the Pinty Series, which is NASCAR Canada. He had just run the Pinty Series race up at Mosport.
Yep.
AKA, what the hell is it called? Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Yes.
Mosport.
So
just call it Mosport.
He's talking, and you know what? Listening to it for the 15 minutes, it was pretty raw. It was it was his thoughts right after the race. So it was based. I think he did it Monday.
Okay, and he didn't have a good run this past weekend because he got into a wreck.
He said he coming home late Saturday night, he was upset, and then Sunday morning he totally admitted it. Sunday morning he just sat on his kitchen floor talking with Haley about what is it that he wants, because he feels like he was in top equipment. He should have won the Daytona race the first weekend. He could have won the next race at the Daytona road course.
Yep.
He had bad luck in he had a car that could have won Homestead.
Yep.
Right. He was battling. He made, there was some stuff happen with his spotter with the battery dying in the radio and that. And he's like, I finally was in the mindset that I was in the best equipment I've ever driven in my life, saying something.
Yeah. Considering we know where his old equipment came from.
Yes. And he's saying it was the best stuff he's ever ran. And he was, he was really raw, just how he felt. And he was just like, it's draining for him, because he was finally in the right mindset, but just all of what's going on, it's draining that he's, really down. He said, him and Haley were in tears, and it was just raw stuff right after the race. Then he went into some other stuff that I'm not going to go into, but
sure. Lifestyle.
He then he took it as like, what? He said, he's not a motivational speaker, but he took it as motivation for himself to go out. I'm going to go out. I'm going to bang on doors, get more sponsorship, to be able to run again.
Right, because he's off for what, 3 weeks until the dirt weekend?
He's off for 21 days.
Yeah.
Till the Bristol dirt race. So he's like, what? We've never had any time off during this time. This is the first time in like 9 years that they've had this much time off at this point of the season.
Right. So I wonder about that. Just to interject. So he goes out, he bangs on some doors. Let's say he finds a sponsor. Where does he bring that sponsor? I'm thinking Gaunt Brothers.
Yes.
That would pretty much be the only option right now.
He kept calling himself a cup racer. I know I'm a cup racer. Right.
Yeah, I deserve to be at the cup level.
Yep.
Sure.
So, I'm hoping he can do it, because he is probably our favorite of the Dillon brothers.
Definitely.
Put it that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's so. Even though his video is titled "I Quit,"
he doesn't.
He's not quitting.
No.
It's making him that, and the other stuff that he's in his head are keeping him going.
Exactly. Yes.
Other stuff that I'm just seeing here, not to get political, but apparently the state rep in Missouri is State Senator in Missouri has announced he will not be seeking re-election, and apparently Carl Edwards' name is being thrown around.
It's going to be Carl.
State. Yes.
Sure. Why not? All right. So I got some photos here. One from Caraway Speedway, Doug.
Okay.
You know Caraway Speedway.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Greater Charlotte area, right?
Yes.
We'll say within an hour. So there was some, it looks like, I assume, testing going on of the new SRX car. I assume Ray Evernham is just doing the shakedowns himself in the car.
No. I thought that's why you were wearing that shirt.
Oh, was it Schrader running it?
Schrader was in the car.
No shit. I did not even know that.
I seen posts that Ken Schrader was doing it.
Why isn't he running the series?
Maybe we don't. Maybe it's a surprise entry.
I'll just reach out to Tony and get him on the roster. I totally thought that's why you were wearing that shirt. Nope.
Okay.
So there we are. So here's the SRX car, full-bodied.
With a wing.
With a wing that isn't really functional. It's as much for show as anything else. Okay? Ray even said that. Something of note, if you look at the nose of the car, very similar to an early 2000s Pontiac. Other than the grill opening, which is an X that you can't see because it's dark. We got some louvers on the hood. Sure. We've got a hood scoop to allow for size. Here's a shot of the car without the body. It's pretty much a stock chassis. I'm not, honestly, Doug, I'm not happy with this roll cage design. I do like that Ray incorporated the boilerplate, as you can see. But I have a real big issue with that roof hoop, upper hoop, Doug.
Okay.
There's no diagonals in it. It's just a box. Boxes aren't strong. I don't like that. They need to put a diagonal bar in there. Here's a shot of it head on. Reminds me of a Trans Am car head on. The way the body kit sticks out so much.
That's what I was thinking.
So that's cool. That's all I got there. Okay,
so I'm just reading from racingnews.co. On Monday, legendary racer Ken Schrader was invited to be the first test driver of the new machine. Schrader unloaded the car with Ray Evernham at Caraway Speedway. And yeah.
Awesome. So Ilmore is doing the engines. We discussed that. Ilmore also is providing all the engines for the truck series. And have a long history as an engine supplier in various auto racing series globally, I think. So that's cool. Down on horsepower. I heard now 700 horse, which I said was about, I commented 200 less than I had originally heard. And I got a bunch of replies. No, they're only advertising 750. No, I read 900 because Ray and Tony wanted to have too much horsepower and not enough traction type thing. Make the cars fun to drive. So we shall see. Series starts in what, June?
I believe so.
I have seen a change in the broadcasting. At first, it was advertised as it was going to be on prime time, Saturday Night Racing, which I'm assuming tape delay, on CBS. No. CBS Sports Network, which I think is a stupid idea because it doesn't have nearly the reach. Put it on the network. You don't have anything good on Saturday nights. No network has anything good on Saturday nights.
I believe my Roku TV does get CBS Sports Network, so I will be able to check that out.
Nice. I'm hoping it'll be simulcast somewhere in Canada. TSN, I'm looking at you. Don't drop the ball again.
Like you do every week. Yeah.
I'm still amazed that I've actually got the recordings of the races each week.
Thankfully, Fox out of Buffalo, WUTV 29 still shows the race.
I also have Fox 29 out of Buffalo. For some reason, they
Yeah,
gave up.
And they even show the good commercials.
Oh, no. I got Fox Rochester. That's right.
Okay, yes. I guess some other breaking news today. Kevin Harvick.
Yes.
Will add 3 Xfinity races and a truck race to his schedule.
I wonder who he'll run for in the truck series.
I'm not sure, but apparently, just reading the article here, that he is one of the top clients for KHI Management. That KHI Management has got him this ride.
Oh,
which
good on KHI Management, which used to be just KHI, which was a race team.
Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised that Kevin Harvick would be a top client of Kevin Harvick Incorporated.
Yeah, amazing.
Who knew? Yeah.
Who knew? So is that Delena's day job now, I wonder? Because she's always had a hand in the management of KHI.
Mm-hmm.
Which, lover or hater, she grew up in racing.
Oh, okay. So actually, I've got some looking further here. There is a method to that madness.
Oh.
His 3 races will be on May 22nd.
Yay!
He will do the Circuit of the Americas Xfinity race.
Makes sense.
He will then be
so
back
I guess my birthday
car.
Must be on a Saturday this year.
He will then make his second appearance July 3rd at Elkhart Lake.
Oh, imagine that.
America.
Yeah.
And then the third one will be the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You know what? And this is going to take me back to a comment that former Golden Boy, ex-Golden Boy, Jeff Gordon said.
And we'll go the truck race.
Okay.
March 27th, the dirt race at Bristol.
Of course. Yep. So during, I want to say it was during it had to be during the Cup race. What am I thinking? So during the Cup race, they got on the topic of guys that run multiple races in the weekend, and Clint was saying how it's good, seat time, learn the track, and then Jeff comes back saying how it's not a good idea because you will learn a wrong setup and you're going to badger your crew chief, and it's not just track time because it's a different line, different cars. It doesn't translate from one to the other. Jeff, I'm calling bullshit right now because if your model, which is the Hendrick model, because we know you only ran 4 Busch races after you became a Cup driver driving the Pepsi car because Pepsi gave you a shitload of money. So fuck right off with that. Yeah, it stuck a nerve because I look at Kyle Busch.
Well,
tell Kyle Busch who sweet weekends how it's a bad thing.
Well, look at him this past weekend. Runs the truck series Friday night.
Yep.
Runs up front, close to the front. His
best race of 2021
on Sunday. So there's some drivers that need that.
Yes. I don't care who you are. Seat time is seat time. Laps or laps. If it wasn't true, Jeff, you wouldn't have drivers running on the simulator every week. So shut your trap. Go get your paycheck from Hendrick Motorsports and just fade away. Go away. You're clearly biased.
Even listening to the we talk about the broadcast with how great Kurt Busch is in the booth.
Yes.
I've really found this year Gordon is struggling to keep up in the booth.
He is because he's not there having his fellow Hendrick alumni backing him up on everything,
I think
taking what Jeff just said, saying it as his own, and Jeff's like, "I just said that."
No. I'm also going to say because also DW is got a little slower. He may have been a talker long ago. He's gotten a little slower. Yeah. Boyer is just he's on it, and he's talking about stuff, and I think Jeff has got into that DW role of being that guy who drove the cars a long time ago and not knowing what's going on now.
Yeah. And can you be more of a hometown rooter? Like, Jeff, do you have to root for the 24 every week?
Or the 9.
Or the 9.
48.
Or the 48. but
His name is
really on
actually-
the 24. Like the 24 will move from 21st to 20th, and Jeff's like, oh, you might as well just hand him the checkered flag.
Well, remember, Jeff's name is on the 48 car as the owner.
Right. Yeah. So to sum that whole rant up, fuck you, Jeff Gordon.
Yes.
There we are. All right. So we got a few minutes left here. Let's preview Phoenix. Because I think that's where we are next.
That is exactly where we are next.
All right. So are all three series running? Just Xfinity and Cup?
I can't remember.
Because generally, if you go to a track twice a year, the trucks are only going to go there once. So the question is, are the trucks there now, or are they going to be there this fall?
I'm not sure. I can only see that there's the Cup race for there on Sunday. I think it's just Xfinity.
Go ahead.
Or and the I think it's just Xfinity and Cup.
Okay, so Xfinity and Cup. Can we save that photo or no?
Yes, the trucks will not be back in action until Bristol.
Okay. So who do you like in Xfinity? Who should we look out for in Xfinity this weekend? I'm going to say AJ Allmendinger is going to have another good weekend.
Yes. Yeah. Can you remember, is Ty Gibbs back in the car this weekend?
No, he's got 3 weeks off. Remember, we just discussed that.
No, that's Ty Dillon.
Oh, right. Whatever. Same thing. I don't know. He should be.
Trying to look here. Let me see quickly. I do not have my trusty laptop with me here. Looking for. Yes, Ty Gibbs is in the 54. I want to see what he's going to do because he's starting back mid-pack. We've got Hemrick on the pole. I'm thinking one of the Burtons, either Jeb or Harrison.
Okay. Keep an eye on the Burtons. Okay. I'm saying keep an eye on Allmendinger. As much as I hate to say it, Austin Cindric. Because, we got to look at Phoenix as a bit of a road course in some ways, right? And that's definitely something to keep an eye on. All right. Will it? There we go. I want to just throw it there for us for possible. Come on, scroll, you stupid. Oh, I'm at the bottom. No wonder it won't scroll. All right. What the hell just happened? I lost my map. There we go. Nope. Damn it.
Okay.
Did it? It did. All right, fine. I'll do it vertically. We don't want the high banks. I don't want Brooklyn trails. You see where I'm going here?
Kinda.
So, for future reference, because we want to go to Michigan.
Do we?
Hell yes. Have you seen the infield camping at Michigan now? All the green is campsites, Doug.
It's always been like that, has it not?
I don't think so. I think they've tremendously. They basically the entire infield is now campgrounds. A lot. The only deal is I was looking. It says MIS infield camping is $200 to $250 for the spot, and then we're looking at I think it was about $150 for a wristband, $100 to $150 per person for wristbands. Amenities: showers, restrooms, dump station, fresh water, a Corrigan oil convenience store, campsite specifics, tent, pop-up, RV sites available. Reserve sites are approximately 19 feet by 40 feet.
Smaller than Charlotte.
Is that smaller?
Yes, it is.
Because the 40 seems awfully long.
Well, okay, yeah, it is longer, narrower.
Yeah. Which I prefer it longer
longer.
and narrower, because you could put truck and trailer back to back. That's the idea, right? You could just pull in. Truck and trailer is about 40 feet long.
I'm just waiting for a comment from Kerry. But anyway,
Opens Monday of race week at 9 a.m., Doug. Monday.
Damn. Yeah.
Unfortunately, what the fuck do you do until Saturday? It's not a lot of amenities in the greater Brooklyn, Michigan area.
It's Michigan. What do you actually do on a Sunday till Sunday?
Right.
But yeah.
So there we are. Something to think about. Definitely. Not even looking at Pocono. Not even going to look. So that's what. So let's. Wow, we're already over an hour. Okay, so quickly, 2 or 3 drivers to keep an eye on in the Cup Series this weekend.
Mayhem knows what I'm talking about. Cup Series, I'm looking. Harvick used to be the man at Phoenix. They reconfigured it. He ain't the man there anymore.
See, I wanted to choose Harvick, but I don't think I am.
No.
I think the Gibbs cars are going to do well this weekend. Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Who else?
Could we have our first repeat winner with Kyle Larson?
That's a possibility. You know what? You mentioned Harvick, but the 10 and 41, they've been doing
41 will have a new crew chief.
Yes, he will. So that could be good or bad.
Yeah.
But that 10 car, it's really been pretty damn competitive in that 48 kind of vein. Not necessarily getting the results, but he's getting up in there. And where he used to be that 12th, 13th, now he's that 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
So
another guy I'm going to look at and really actually guy you can never count out is Keselowski is on the pole this weekend.
And he's been running pretty good.
He has been.
Yeah.
So
is Ryan Blaney going to get the snake bite cured this week?
Well, he is starting at the top. Like the rundown is Keselowski, Larson will go second. Then it'll be Hamlin, Bell, Truex, Elliott, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Logano, and then William Byron.
Nice.
But I'm also going to say, I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to win, but he's going to run good. Newman has always not been bad at that track.
Mm-hmm. And he's been pretty damn competitive this year.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to keep an eye on. So there we are. Look forward to Phoenix running out in the desert. Hopefully we'll get down there at some point because I got a bunch of friends in the Phoenix area, so I'd love to.
And a big shout out. She's probably not watching. Our friend Kathy, who a couple weeks ago was doing garbage cleanup up on Rattlesnake Hill, didn't find any rattlesnakes, right? But she was doing some.
That's right. Yeah. So I forgot Kathy's down there now too. So yes. We got Kathy. We've got a good friend of mine. Lawrence Petros lives in the Phoenix area. Phil McKnight, guest on my other channel last week. Chris, unbelievable. We'll just call him. He was on. Let's call him unfucking believable. I dropped enough F-bombs during the Jeff Gordon rant. So, yeah. So, and among others, I do know some other people down there. So that would definitely be awesome to get down there. So anything to add, my good man, before you run off to work?
I don't think so. I'm off to do some right turns. But
there we are.
Maybe in honor to I'll do left turns today. Maybe.
Well, there we go.
Little backwards stuff. But.
There we go. So we're NasCanucks, presented by Vibraprint, because I forgot to mention that at the beginning. But we are presented by Vibraprint. Use coupon code Canuck and save 10% on all your custom printing needs. He's Doug. I'm Ben. This has been NasCanucks. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next week.
Good, Mark.